a second. Okay, we're live, and I got a dog barking. So just a second. Hey, buddy. Let's calm down. All right.
Oh, good stuff. Good
He's
stuff.
He's a good dog. He's just old, and we have two cats. And while one of the cats doesn't seem to bother him at all, the other one he's like, I don't even want you in my face. And will often growl at the cat when the cat is anywhere near. And he's a dog that I think I talked about him on episode 250, actually, because he interrupted that show as well. He used to be really good about, if he wanted something, he would just come up to us and just stare at us like Eddie from Frasier.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And now he just barks. He's like, I'm old. I don't care. I'm going to bark.
I ain't looking at you. I'll bark.
Are you okay, bud? You've already eaten and you went outside, so you should probably just go lay down. He's looking at me like, oh, no. I don't know about that. Like, I'm going to wait till you guys actually start recording, and then I'm going to start barking. That's what I'm going to do. All right. Well, let's see. Do we have, it doesn't look like, that's also weird when you live stream, how it will not always tell you if people are watching it. Currently it shows 0 viewers. If you're viewing, if you're there and you're watching, give us a holler there in the comments. And we'll hopefully see them. Because sometimes, podcasters, we get into our stuff and we're not always looking over there at that little area. Do you have access? Do you see that as well on your end, the comment area?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Over here on the right-hand side, I've got columns. One says private chat and one says comments, which is a toggle. Now I have to remember to be sure that I'm toggled at the right place, so.
Yep. I see that too. All right. Well, if you are there watching live, or you watch this later on the YouTube, because we did have a number of people do that the last time we did this. We are, of course, getting together. My name is Steeven, Big Steeven, as I've decided to just start calling myself recently, probably because I'm embracing the fact that I'm losing weight and I'm shrinking. So I'm keeping hold of the Big Steeven for some reason. Not sure why. And then over there, nope, wrong way. Stupid thing. Yeah. Ed Moore. Digital comics are cool. Ed Moore. Digital comics are cool.
They are.
And they're getting more accepted.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of books, literally at your fingertips.
Yep, exactly.
You can. Yeah. As long as you are okay reading them on whatever device. Now that may dictate, but you go on vacation, you don't have to worry about what you're going to take. Just take your device, and then you can pick what you want to read there. So
you don't have to worry about bagging and boarding them and storing them in a dry, cool place and keeping them out of the sunlight. You do have to worry that will one day they just go away? Will they just leave my device?
Well, yeah, there is that. You don't own, unless you're a pirate, you don't own the books that you're looking at, which has always been a huge drawback to me. And of course, everybody that really used comicology a lot, it kind of found that out.
Yeah, there's a really good episode on Nerd Sync where he talks about just recently with the whole Comixology, when they officially merged to the what is in essence the Kindle app.
Oh, that's
so.
And the problem is that Comixology not only did they do everything right compared to any of the other readers, they had done it that particular way for so long that was the norm.
That was the norm.
Amazon has a reader, and they want to incorporate the comic books into the rest of their digital reading. So, now they did it horribly, but I don't blame them for wanting to do that. We bought this. We already have our way of doing things. We need to get them to meet, and they're going to meet on our side of the aisle. We're not going to meet on their side.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If if you listen to one of the last, I think it was the last CGS episode that Brian and Peter were on together, where
Mhm.
they just kind of get together and talk. I believe Brian said he has a friend who is on the team
Yes.
working for Amazon on the Comixology app, and sounds like they're it's just one of those things that they had to get it out, and they will hopefully be fixing stuff
Well,
as they go
and
along and
but
maybe making it better.
you also have to wonder, how big a priority is comic books to
Right.
Amazon? I mean,
Right. Yeah.
because Amazon owned Comixology for who knows how
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
So why were all these things broken when they finally made the so people
Yeah.
can
That's
talk about what they want, say what they want to say, but I
yeah.
just Comixology and comic books were not a priority for Amazon.
But then
That's
suddenly it
all you
was.
have to say,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Well, it still isn't really. I mean,
No.
they
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 just wanted to get
understand.
them under one roof, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finally, why
Yep.
now and not 2 years from now or 2 years ago or I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Money somewhere somehow, but yeah, it just they're not a priority, and it showed. And
Yep.
whatever, they'll either fix it or they won't, or
Yep.
there is no
Yeah.
for us that read comic books. There is no other alternative like Comixology as far as
Yeah.
uh, weekly getting books or anything.
New comics. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
most publishers these days, the bigger ones, have a digital presence where you can read their books and get their books digitally from them, but
Well,
it's not like Comixology.
no, no,
Comixology
no.
it was an online store, and the website was awesome. The app was awesome,
Yeah, it
and
was just
now not so
it,
much. I mean, it hasn't stopped me from using it, of course. I mean, what other choice do I have?
yeah, really.
But
It's
yeah, so that's I would urge folks to go out and watch that Nerd Sync video, because it's really good. And also, since we're going to be talking about Golden Age Superman, obviously, because that's what the show's about, he did another episode in February, his Valentine's Day episode, where he talks about the real life relationship between a woman who is a model who worked for Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel, who Schuster patterned Lois Lane after.
oh, okay.
And apparently she ended up marrying Jerry Siegel, and some guy wrote a book about how that
Yikes.
that Joe Shuster was in love with her, and she went with Jerry instead, and it broke their relationship and all this stuff. And this guy on NerdSync, he just does this really good job about he spends like the first half of the video laying it all out, like it said, like he got from this book that he read. And then he kind of goes, but you know what? Let's look at it from a different perspective. It's really good. It's a really good episode. And I
Okay.
urge he talked about how he's been wanting to do an episode about this for like 10 years. He's been however long he's been doing
Hmm.
his videos. And it wasn't it's like he felt like he's glad he waited this long, because the guy he was back then is not the same guy he is now. He's got a woman in his life. They're very much in love. He sees things a lot
Ah,
differently.
yes. Okay.
She like my wife does for me, well, maybe you should look at it from the woman's point of view and stuff like that, and
Right.
he said, when I first heard this story, I would have made the video and been like, well, screw her and all this stuff,
Well, yeah, really.
and
Yeah.
so it's a really good video. It's a I really enjoy his channel. I don't watch a lot of his early stuff, but the stuff he's put out over the last year and a half or so is really good
Different
stuff.
person.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have one person viewing, one live viewer. Hi, live viewer. Finger guns to you. Do I have my notes? Are you looking at the notes? I updated them,
No.
but you've got the synopsis
I
stuff,
not off of your notes, but I do
right?
have them.
You got them from the
Yeah.
DC.
Where are your notes?
They're on the Google Drive.
Okay, I
Let me.
don't have it linked here in my folder. I must have it in my email and haven't pulled it over. I suck.
Well, I'll send you the link again through the email. It's just the same stuff we had last time. But
Right, yeah.
I didn't know if maybe you wanted to, since like this first episode that we're going to do, which is technically episode number 4, since we're trading off reading the synopses.
Just
If
do the
you
whole.
want to do you're listening to the Superman Super Show, that
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I got you.
And
Let
then,
me. Why do I not? Okay. There we go.
It says we have 2 viewers. Don't tell anybody. Don't scare them away. Shh. All right. So yeah. All right. I don't know why I'm just stammering like a fool. These 2 viewers are going to be like, nope, this is not for me. One of them is staring at his monitor and the other is stammering like a fool. Yep. See, we lost one.
There you go. They were listening.
Yeah. Curse it all.
Hang on a second. Let me check something out here. About 6. It's about a 6 to 7 second delay between what we're doing and what they're hearing, because I can hear my wife. She's watching, and I can hear it on in the living room.
Hi, Terry.
Yeah.
Peace. Because that's all we're saying. Give peace a chance. I always say, what's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? Of course, that's not mine. We know that. That's Elvis Costello.
I was always impressed with the way he dressed.
Elvis Costello?
Yeah.
He's got an audio book out that I think is exclusive to Audible, in which it's like his how to play guitar, but it's not really about how to play guitar. He reads it himself. It's really good. It's only about like 2 hours long or something, but it's
cool.
It's kind of funny.
Okay. Yeah, I've got the notes up here. So anytime.
Do you want to even do the hello and welcome and all that stuff?
I'll do
okay, cool. So for this one, I'm gonna take a little nap.
Okay.
I'll just chime in whenever I want to. Like
be sure that you have a good pick, and then just kill your camera, and so it's that still pick. Yep, whatever the pick's gonna be.
All right, let's do the clapping thing. One. Oh, hold on. Darn it. You're recording?
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Coolio. Whenever you're ready, bud.
Okay, the synopsis, did you write that yourself, or did you just...
No, that's from...
pulled from this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a little thing at the bottom of it that I just kind of wrote. That synopsis, by the way, was taken from DC, but you can do that before or after you do the synopsis. So
okay. Yeah, I'll do...
We're freewheeling here.
I'll do all of that and then stop before it says I want to thank everyone. Go through and...
You've done this before. We've all been there.
All right, let's see here. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode 4. Superman plays football. Hello and welcome to all new...
Blooper.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name's Ed Moore. And 1,000 miles over there to my left is the other host. Say hi, Steven.
Hi, Steven. I took your joke.
You did. Today we're looking at the Superman tale in Action Comics number 4 by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, which is entitled Superman Plays Football. Now, I did make note, one of the previous episodes, I forget which one, that we sometimes run into differing titles for the story. I looked in
Yes.
3 different places, and all 3 had this as the title.
Yeah, when I
So,
put the notes together for the episodes that we're doing tonight, I took the titles straight out of that trade that we're both reading.
okay.
So that's an official DC trade. So we're gonna call those
Go with that.
the names.
So, before we go any further, let me tell you what happened in this story. Superman chases after a driver that had committed a hit and run. The car stalls on some train tracks. Superman's barely able to get the driver out of the car in time. Unfortunately, the driver has suffered a heart attack. Superman sneaks into a passing train car where he hears Coach Randall, the football coach of Dale University. He's hiring 2 ringers to play in a game against Cordell University and rough up the star player, thereby giving Dale University the win and allowing the coach to keep his job. Superman decides to pose as Tommy Burke, a perennial backup on Cordell University's team. Tommy Burke's girlfriend, meanwhile, is telling Tommy that she's broken up with him and is dating the tennis champion now, Wallace Dodd, instead. As Burke is taking a walk to cool down, he comes across Superman, who's made himself to look like Burke. He stabs Burke with a hypodermic needle that makes him lose consciousness. When Burke wakes up, Superman explains that he's going to steal his identity for a few days. Superman heads to the football locker room, but doesn't know which locker is his/Burke's. He opens a locker at random and ends up wearing the uniform of Ray Martin, another player. Martin challenges him to a fight and Superman knocks him out cold. Coach Oliver Stanley hears the noise and kicks Superman, posing as Burke of course, off the team. Superman decides to come out onto the practice field anyway, immediately making an interception. When the coach notices him, he tells the other players to grab him and throw him off the field. The entire team piles on, very literally, and Superman/Burke drags them all into the end zone for a touchdown. The coach changes his mind and decides to start Burke in the big game against Dale. Coach Randall hears that Burke has become Cordell's star player, so he tells the thugs that he hired to kidnap him the night before the game. They come across the real Tommy Burke, who's tied up and under the influence of a sleep-inducing drug that Superman gave him with the injection there, and re-kidnap him to a new location. The next day, Superman quickly scores several touchdowns in succession. Meanwhile, the real Tommy Burke escapes out of where the thugs were holding him prisoner and makes his way to the football field. He enters the bleachers only to discover that his doppelganger is scoring repeatedly. He plans to tell the police until he hears his ex-girlfriend tell Wallace Dodd that she wants to date Burke again. The thugs... I'm trying to keep a straight face, but this story...
This is crazy.
The thugs attempt to stab Superman with a knife, but he quickly dispatches them. Coach Randall resigns in disgrace. At halftime, Superman switches places with Tommy Burke, allowing him, Burke, to play the second half. Burke grabs hold of the ball and is quickly knocked unconscious, but when he wakes up, his girlfriend is kissing him, telling him that she wants him to quit football because it's too dangerous. Of course, he quickly agrees. Now, that synopsis, minus my laughing in the middle of it, was taken from the DCFandom.com page, and the link will be in the show notes. So, Steven, what did you think?
This was a crazy issue. I mean, in the
Wow.
first 3 episodes, we talked about how some of these were pretty crazy, like Superman throwing the guy like a javelin. But this one was crazy. I want to read real quick, if I can, the opening text box
Okay.
to this issue, because we've talked about those as well. And
Yeah,
I love this.
I dig those. Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
great. Exhilarated by the demon's speed, A drunken, irresponsible driver races faster, faster still. Abruptly, a shrill shriek, a sharp impact. He has struck I just can't do
Pedestrian.
a pedestrian. He has struck a pedestrian. Frightened beyond reasoning, the motorist presses his car to greater speed and flees in terror from the scene of his crime. And they refer to this guy as a hit skip. The guy who got hit is a hit skip victim. I've never heard of that before. Hit skipping.
No,
It's always a hit
must
and
be
run.
a time term,
Yeah.
which I had another one that I found. Let's see, but it was in story 7, so issue 7. So we'll talk about it next time. But yeah, we haven't had very many verbal uh, uh, timestamps so far in these stories. I don't think.
Not
Now,
really,
if
no.
you're looking at the pictures, yeah, there are
Yeah.
giveaways there. But as far as patterns of speech or colloquial terms or things like that, we really haven't had too many yet. I don't think.
No, but that's definitely one of them. And I have to assume skip is kind of probably like skipping out on the check
I
or,
would assume, yeah.
meaning leave. And I love how Superman apparently, I guess he's up on a building or something because he's high overhead. He witnesses this and then he leaps into action and almost hits a train.
Yeah,
Leaping so hard he almost hits a train. And then he starts running along the train and one of the conductors sees him and he tells his friend and his friend thinks he's drunk. And then, of course, Superman saves the guy from getting hit by the train, but nope, he has a heart attack and he dies. you
yep.
know,
So
these those 2 pages, really, the whole purpose of that is just to get him on the train. That's they need
yeah,
him.
yeah. That's
Yeah, it's really silly when you think about it because they need Superman to overhear this conversation from the coach and these thugs about uh roughing up some players so he can win the game and not be fired. But to create this elaborate scenario in which they are meeting on a train, and so the only way we can get Superman on a train is to save a guy who just ran over somebody, and we're not gonna it's like, okay, well, he saved him, but he's got to get on the train. What do we do? Oh, let's just have him die and then he can get on the train at that point. I mean, why does he get on the train at that point? But he
yeah.
does. And then when as he's coming into the window of that train car, uh-oh, someone's entering, and he ducks down and hides behind a chair. Superman hides behind a chair. Nowadays Superman would just be like, "Hello, I'm Superman, citizens. Can I help you with something?" And they'd go, "Oh, sorry, Superman, we'll go into another car." But no, he hides behind a chair. It's just so silly. And then the fact that Superman drugs a guy with a hypodermic needle.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
um, he's able to just put on some grease paint and look exactly like the dude. And yeah, steals his identity, ties him up. Does he tie him up in bed? I know the guy's in bed.
He, I think at one point he is like almost
Yeah.
like handcuffed to the bed. I think. Um, Thinking back though to the dude that was hit by the car or that he rescued, Superman rescued from the car, died of a
Mhm.
heart attack. Well,
Right.
what did he do with the man when he got on the train? He just had to have left the body out there.
That's a good question. Yeah.
He just, "Oh, well, he's not alive anymore. I'll leave him here, and I'll jump in the train window."
Now, the train, though, has stopped. They do mention that the train stopped because they hit an auto.
So is Superman hiding because
I
he
don't
yeah,
It's bizarre. It's really bizarre behavior for
just
someone that we know will eventually be called the Big Blue Boy Scout.
it's one of those things that you run into to get the story moving. They
Yeah.
wrote it a certain way,
Yep.
and, in hindsight of, what, 80 some years, almost 85, we're sitting here thinking, "Oh, well, that wouldn't work."
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
we don't know how long they got to write these. We don't know how
yeah.
many they had written ahead of time because in the first episode we talked about how they were trying to get Superman into newspapers. That was their
Mhm.
first goal where they thought they had a deal made, and so they'd done up a few strips. And I don't know how far ahead maybe he might have written stuff, or if they were like, okay, we need a new story, in the next 2 weeks. So we need to bang something out. And this is what we don't know. We don't know what
In
they were thinking, but
in some stuff I was looking at today, I don't believe the newspaper strips started until sometime next year, 1939, because we're,
right.
which I don't think we said, did we? I didn't say, I don't believe.
No,
September
but the
1948 is when this issue of Action Comics cover dated.
yeah, 38. Right, but we know that that first issue, that first story that's in Action Comics number 1
Mhm.
was something they had put together to submit
For a
to a newspaper
newspaper.
strip,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the deal didn't go through. So, how far ahead had they planned? How how many strip ideas did they have?
right.
That kind of stuff. Or, but the one thing we do know is that when it comes down to just crazy, bizarre stories like this, that to us we can look at 84 years later and go, why would Superman do this? The readers just didn't seem to care. They were out, they wanted a good read, they were just wanted to
Yeah,
have some fun,
they were along for the ride, and he does this, and he
exactly.
does that, and
And
so, okay.
these are definitely a ride because they
For
are
sure, for sure.
nonstop. I don't know if there's really much more that I would point out in this issue.
Couple things I wanna point out.
All right, go ahead.
Um, I find it interesting that someone would be playing college football for 7 seasons.
That's a
Uh,
good point.
now, I didn't do any research to see then, but now I do know that you have 5 years to play 4.
Okay.
That's what your how your eligibility is calculated by the NCAA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you like me, if I had never gone to college, I could go to college now, and I would still be eligible because it's not age related.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, what style of football are they playing that Superman as Burke got 2 consecutive kickoffs? Yeah,
It's
and I love college football, so these things just jumped right out at me. I'm like, no, yeah, oh no, don't do that. So I, it could be that there was honestly that 85 years ago the rules were slightly different. I don't know, but I certainly know that today those 2 things would be no.
it could also be that Jerry Siegel just didn't know anything about football,
This could be, but
and
you would think he
nobody
could
cared.
ask somebody. I mean, somebody's
Exactly.
got to know.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
these guys are in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland has had a professional team for, I would guess that long. I'm not sure, but so I mean, at the very least, there's a professional team. College football has been around since the like 1880s, I think. So there's just I don't know. There had to be a resource. There wasn't Google, of course, but there had to be a resource.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think.
And yeah, those are pretty much the only other things that stood out to me.
Yeah, but the idea of Superman being an identity thief, thinking about that in terms of where we're at now, what an identity
Oh,
thief means.
yeah, or giving someone drugs
Yeah,
or kidnapping someone. It's
he
like yeah, this is Superman did some personality changes between then and now for sure,
most definitely, and that's
for sure.
people people don't quite get that. Anybody who's like me until recently, who's never read these golden
Right.
age stories, you hear stuff about Batman when people complain about Batman in the movies killing somebody. Well, Batman didn't kill. Well, he killed in his first, in the golden
Yeah.
age, he was killing people. And so, Batman went through some changes, but yeah, Superman, yeah, he kidnaps a guy, he drugs him. There's the moment where the guy wakes up and, Burke regains consciousness to discover himself a prisoner in his own apartment. And Clark's just sitting there next to the guy who's in bed going, well, what have you done to me? I can't move. And he just says, you needn't worry. You're just rendered passive by a drug. And then the guy's like, what's the big idea? And Superman just goes, merely this. I'm going to take your place in life for a few days. So long for now. And it just
Yeah.
leaves him there. It's just,
The
it's crazy stuff.
the backhand that sends the football player across the room. It's drawn like an uppercut, but I
Yeah.
imagine it as just some kind of backhand. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you went,
across
Go
the
away,
room.
you bother me, he says to him.
Yeah, it's wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then then he gets kicked off the team and he's in the locker room. One panel, he's in the locker room going, "Oh, why did I do that? I messed everything up." And then the very next panel, forget it. I'm going to go out there and play
Yeah,
anyway.
I'll go out anyways. They can't stop me.
The art, I mean, it hasn't really improved. It is what it is for the
Right.
time.
Yeah, it's
But there's a panel of Burke after he comes to the football game and he's in the stands and he overhears his girlfriend say that, she may go back with Burke, and he's standing there going, "Come on, Burke, hit that line, tear him to pieces." That's just a great panel. He's just all bug-eyed and happy, and every once in a while some of this stuff is just spot on, and really happy with the artwork. And then the issue ends with how to acquire super strength.
right. Some
Which,
workout technique there.
yeah, you may find lifting a heavy armchair is a difficult task. However, if you lift smaller weights regularly and gradually increase the weights of these objects, you'll soon find lifting a mere armchair a cinch.
There we go.
So yeah, I mean,
I can't argue with that.
exactly.
Right.
It's just called conditioning. It's weightlifting, but with it looks like a small filing cabinet, and then a wooden chair, and then it's like this little bald kid is just lifting an armchair up over his head. Then after that, looks so simple. Yeah, and of course, the woman who doesn't want to be with Burke because he's a loser, because he's not a champion football player. He's always riding the bench, and the moment I realized that, they're going to have her, because they even say, she's like, "Oh, I kind of like him again, because look at him, he's a winner." It's like, well, what's he going to do when Superman leaves? He's still going to be a loser. But then they did fix that problem. They wrapped that up.
Yeah, and he showed that he's still Burke. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. But he doesn't have to play football now. He gets the girl. He doesn't have to show that he can't play football.
He can retire because he proved it already, and now it's good.
Exactly. It's just obvious that maybe Jerry Siegel probably didn't know women that well.
Okay.
I think you can say that for maybe a lot of.
Yes, there are probably men by the high numbers throughout the ages that would stand in line with you there.
Yeah. All right. Anything? That's all I got for this issue.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
Yep. And, I'm good. Okay. I do want to thank everyone for listening to this episode and any episode before and any episode we have after of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, you can do that at the supermansupershow@gmail.com. All one word. And if you want to help the show in another way, you can go to Apple Podcasts and rate us, or any of the other aggregators, Spotify, iHeart, whichever ones have the ability to rate. I know some do and some don't, and I can't keep track of which do or don't. But if you have that ability, please do. Or even easier, just tell your friends about the show. Tell them about the YouTube, tell them about the podcast when we start releasing those. Just tell your friends. We're a couple of cool guys to listen to. We make jokes and we make you laugh, and we talk about Golden Age right now, Superman comics. So until next week, I'm Ed saying goodbye. Goodbye. And here is Steven saying goodbye.
Goodbye. And then I guess we just end.
Goodbye. Yeah. Okay.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well,
it's time to go.
I'm glad that you ended up doing a lot of that in that episode, because I had to mute at one point there at the end and yell at my dog. I'm sure people watching are like, "What is he doing?" Because I'm like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, looking off to the side. It's like, whoa.
So yeah, if you're watching, that's what I was doing. I was yelling at my dog.
Somebody's getting it there.
Yeah, and in fact, if if we can take a quick little break here,
Okay.
I'd like to see if maybe he might want to go outside because he's old.
That's
He's
cool.
got a little old man bladder. So
That's cool.
I'm gonna mute myself and then I'm just gonna step away for a minute.
Okay.
All righty. Should probably stop recording too. Start a new file, so let me do that. Do. So you were I saw on the update on the board that you did some. Do you just call it disc golf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I unmuted? Yeah.
No, yeah, you're fine now.
Okay. Yeah, disc golf. The froth is frisbee golf, and I've always not like it. That kind of riles me like the term floppies does. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Frisbee's a brand.
Oh, well, yeah, actually. But yeah, disc golf is.
Yeah, they
I
had
have a love-hate relationship with disc golf.
I was watching an episode of The Office the other day, and don't know if if you watched the show.
I've not watched it, but I'm familiar.
Well, there's an episode where one of the characters is new to the office, and he's asking one of the other characters. You know, he wants one of the ladies, and he wants to know which one he should ask out, and the other one is, you know, points him toward a certain woman in the office as a prank, and so he's telling Jim is the guy. He's telling Andy all this stuff about Pam that he says Pam really likes, stuff that he can do to impress her, and it's stuff that he knows that Pam doesn't like, and one of them is disc golf. And Andy, who went to Cornell and always likes to talk about how he went to Cornell, he says, "Are you kidding me? I started the Froth League in, you know, Cornell," and I immediately thought of you. So.
Yep. Weehaw.
Yeah, I think my brother-in-law does that, but yeah, we got this little course down there, down the
Cool
road.
beans.
So. All right, let's see. Let me get to episode 5, which, according to the trade paperback, is called Superman and the Dam.
Yep.
which when I typed up these notes, everywhere I put Superman and the dam, the auto corrected to DAMN.
That's funny that it would move in that direction and not
Right.
the other.
It's correct it to the curse.
Yep. I have a funny story about that.
Okay.
The typical government naming convention when a dam is built is to name the dam after a nearby town.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a dam here near a town called Fayetteville, but the name of the town that the reservoir moved out was GAD. And so, of course, that's what it's supposed to be named. It's supposed to be the Gad Dam.
Yeah.
But they were like, no, that is too much. We'll name it the Fayetteville Dam because that's the next one. Okay, so that's my dam story.
And do you have like because we have a dam over in the next town in Perry, Kansas, the Perry Dam, because it's outside of Perry.
Okay.
And there's like a little store just outside, and they've called it the Dam Store, and stuff like that. So
well, we just had a what's it called, a microbrewery that uses that as their name. Gad Dam something, yeah, and they abbreviate it so that you don't say the whole name, but that is their name, so they name themselves after. Yeah, trying to be cute, I guess. That's
we'll be talking about. I mean, of course, a dam, but it's a funny name for a dam, I think, in this. And I looked it up, and it doesn't exist. The town of Valley Ho.
That's unfortunate, but okay.
There is a Valley Ho hotel in Scarsdale, Arizona. That's what kept coming up when I looked up Valley Ho Dam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You ready to get this one kicked off?
Mm-hmm.
Are you recording?
Yes, sir.
Let's do the claps. 1, 2, 3. Get to my notes. All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 5, Superman and the Dam. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore. Say hi, Ed.
Hi, Ed.
How's things?
Well, we had this really freaky, snowy kind of Saturday thing come up out of nowhere, and but other than that, I mean, it's all gone now. You would never know, but boy, sitting in the living room looking out the window Saturday, it was like white out. It's going to be feet, kind of, but so I don't know what it was about, but it's gone now.
It snowed here on Friday, I think. Got up and went to take the kids out to take them to school, and snow falling from the sky. And I thought we should try maybe bantering a little bit. That's, I think, one thing that we're missing from our first 4 episodes is the banter.
Okay. I can banter.
I'm not great at the banter, but we could give it a try. We talked about weather. I think that's in the banter handbook.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's one of the classes of banter is weather talk.
Yeah, it might be chapter 1 even.
I hear a lot of people start with that, so they lead with the weather banter. Yeah,
it's weather, and then maybe a local sports team.
Right. Yeah. How about them? Whoever it might be. Yeah.
So speaking of the local sports team, I'm in Kansas, and of course the KU Jayhawks, who are about 20 minutes to my left, won the national champions. First time since 2008. I mean, honestly, I don't really care all that much. I have learned over the years, though, that I can't watch the tournaments, because any year that I decide I'm going to go ahead and watch one of these tournament games, that's the game they lose.
They lose. Okay.
And so I have friends that are huge KU fans, and you're not watching, are you? You're not going to watch this year.
It's
So
not
I
on
didn't.
today,
Yeah,
Steven.
and I didn't. Yeah, I didn't watch one game this year. So I want everyone to thank me
There you go. Yes.
for the Jayhawks winning that national
You
championship.
you played your part in
That's
the
right.
Jayhawks championship season.
That's right. I just stayed away. I didn't even
That's
think
right.
about it.
By not watching, I played my part. Yes.
Matter of fact, when I heard they won, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's March, or we had March. There's a
Yeah,
madness
it's
that's
that time
going
of
on in
year.
March."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You got Super Bowl in February and March Madness, and that's about all I know. That's as far as I go. All right, so today we are looking at Superman in Action Comics number 5. This was, of course, written by Jerry Siegel with art by Joe Shuster. And this story is entitled Superman and the Dam. Action Comics number 5 was, of course, published by DC Comics, and it has a cover date of October 1938. I don't know if we've talked about cover dates.
I don't think so.
Some people get really bent out of shape if you say it was published in October of 1938, and that may not be the case, because the date they put on the cover is like, what, 3 months later? Typically?
Yes. I at this time in particular, I believe, maybe even longer.
It's really confusing. I'm sure I've heard folks talk about why that is the case. Maybe is it because that's when they can return it?
I think overall my understanding is that is the longest it can stay out before you have to take it up and do something with it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Because at this time, of course, everything is newsstand is display. There's no
Yeah.
private market, private store. So I think actually I think that's what the cover date was invented for, and how it was intended to be used to give people. Because if you think 90 days, if a copy of something doesn't sell in 90 days, I might as well just. It's not going to sell.
Yep.
So.
And it makes it easier for the proprietor. They just go through and go, okay, that's October. Grab
Right.
these.
Yeah. Right here on
Those,
the cover
yeah.
in plain sight. And yeah.
And then the poor unfortunate comics that do not sell, they just rip that cover right off of it.
Yep. And then they sell the rest of it.
Yeah,
which
I've
they're not
got
supposed to
a
do, but
I've gotten a couple from time to time. You know.
yeah, growing up, I had access to boxes of coverless comic books that had been destroyed, but miraculously, I was able to sift through them. Yes.
Yeah. And in fact, if I can tangent for just a second, we had a local grocery store that would sell comics. And as a kid, I'd ride my bike in there and buy comics. And every once in a while, for some reason, they would stamp the date on the cover in ink. And even as a kid, I was like, that's not right. You've ruined my comic book.
What are you doing?
I had no intention of bagging and boarding the books. I had no thought of holding on to these for the rest of my life. But somewhere deep down, I knew that was wrong. Wrong for them to do that. All right. Let's talk about what happened in this issue. This synopsis, by the way, comes from DCFandom.com. We will put the link in the show notes. News comes into the Daily Star that the Valley Ho Dam is collapsing. Editor-in-chief George Taylor wants Clark Kent to head there to write the story. He tells Lois Lane to find Clark Kent and tell him to head for Valley Ho. Instead, she tells him that a story is waiting for him at the hospital and immediately boards a train. That would be Lois. She tricked him. He discovers her double cross and heads back to the office. Taylor chides him for wasting time, missing the last train to Valley Ho in the process, and tells him he's fired. Instead, he runs toward Valley Ho, passing the train on the way. He discovers a bridge with a support out. He grabs the support and holds it in place while the train goes over it. Lois Lane arrives in Valley Ho and takes a cab to the dam, but Superman is already at the dam, trying to keep it from collapsing. He holds it as long as he can, enabling most people to escape in time. Excuse me. When he lets go, Lois Lane gets caught up in the ensuing flood. He pulls her out of the car, then runs ahead of the flood to a high mountain which he pushes over in order to divert the flood, keeping the water away from Valley Ho. Lois Lane thanks Superman and kisses him. Superman leaves her in Valley Ho as he runs off. He changes out of his suit and calls George Taylor, telling him that he took a plane to Valley Ho and he has a scoop if Taylor will give him his job back. Taylor quickly agrees. Clark Kent sees Lois Lane and he chides her for lying to him. That wasn't a nice stunt you pulled on me, but I still like you. Lois responds, who cares?
Wow.
It's so bad.
Wow.
Lois responds, who cares? The spineless worm. I can hardly bear looking at him after having been in the arms of a real He-Man. What'd you think of this issue?
I thought that we said last issue that Superman has some changing to do. Boy, between then and now, Lois Lane has some changing to do as well.
Yes.
To say she softens up to Clark Kent a little bit is saying quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, considering they eventually get married and have a child.
Well, there is that. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty substantial softening up. I think.
But that's always kind of been, I mean, even it seems like I remember in the John Byrne, I don't know why I said it that way. I remember in the John Byrne reboot, she was pretty, I think that's when she started calling him Smallville.
Yeah,
And,
okay,
she was
yeah,
kind of rude to him at first.
I remember seeing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I guess people use that as to really bring home how different Clark is from Superman.
Yeah.
I guess they're just really trying to show that just by putting on those glasses, people think just completely differently of the two personas.
Yep.
And something else that to me is interesting, there is arguments concerning Batman, which is the real person and which is the suit that is worn.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, of course, that the Batman is the person and Bruce Wayne is the suit he wears. Here, I don't think there's ever been that question. I think Superman has always been the being, and Clark Kent has always been clothes that he puts on. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever heard that argument for Superman.
Yeah, I agree. If I would argue that maybe Clark Kent, when he's around his parents, is the one true persona.
Okay, okay.
But he's still very. I mean, he's still that way when he's Superman.
Mhm.
He's not, whereas Batman, he's playing a character as Batman. He's playing a character as Bruce Wayne. I would say whenever he's just kind of there in the Batcave with Alfred or any member of the Bat family, that's when he truly is who he
Who he
is.
is. Yeah.
But it's only when he's around people that he allows to get close to him that he is who he is, I
Yes,
guess you
yes.
could say.
Bruce Wayne is a very interesting study.
Now in the late 90s, early 2000s, he was just Batman or Bruce Wayne. And they were two characters that he was playing. And I don't think he ever became himself, because even when he was around others as Batman that he knew, he was still, I'm Batman. I know 6 different ways to break your arm.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, as I was reading that synopsis, they referred to the editor by name, and I just kind of skimmed through this again real quick. I don't remember that name coming up anywhere in this issue.
Might be a holdover from where he was named a couple issues ago, and they
Yeah,
just
maybe, yeah.
whoever wrote that synopsis just kept it. Yeah, I don't remember there being a situation where he had to be named in this story.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, even when Clark calls him at the end, he calls him, and he calls him up to tell him he's got the scoop. He just calls him Chief.
Chief, yeah.
But this was it was pretty straightforward. This wasn't really all that crazy. The only really crazy moment that stood out to me was the chief himself, the editor, is he probably needs to see somebody about some hypertension. He he seems to be off the rails. He's
he
screaming and yelling all the time.
yeah, he gets he's pretty excitable when it comes to, his reporters covering stories.
Yeah,
He's very serious about it.
where's Clark? Where's Kenton? Uh, Lois says he isn't in the office. Well, look for him, Lois, and have him report to me before I lose my mind. He's just crazy. And then, of course, when she asks him why didn't he give the assignment to her, his
Ooh,
answer is, "It's too important. This is no job for a girl."
right,
And
you're a
that's kind of
girl.
the first time we've seen that
Mhm.
in these issues, because I remember the war in San Monte, that issue, that story. It was kind of a big deal that she was given this, assignment to go report on this war. Granted, it was to give the female perspective, but
But
still,
still, she had to go there.
yeah, he gives her a job as a war correspondent, but he won't let her go report on a dam
Right,
that's
no,
that's collapsing.
yeah, a dam breaking is more serious than a revolution in a foreign country.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the fact that she tricks Clark, that was kind of mean.
Well, yeah, that see, well, things were different, back 85 years ago. You can see that they're different in that the creative processes of these people in putting things down on paper and then what's on the paper is completely different than what would be on paper nowadays. So
Oh, yeah.
you have to trace that back, to the creators, and not just that, but the audience.
Yeah.
The real world people involved just looked at things in a completely different way than what we do now,
Yeah.
which is funny to for me. It's funny to be face to face with that. I mean, you always think, well, well, things were different for my mom and dad, and whatever. But you don't know. I mean, you
Yeah.
weren't there, and
No.
and particularly now, as an adult, as a father, I know that yeah, things are probably a lot more similar than I thought they were when I was little.
Yeah.
You know, but I do have to say, 85 years ago, the people thought very differently.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
and and it's expressed in the way that the good guys in the story are treating each other and treating other people, the way they're talking, drugging people, kidnapping people, throwing people around. It's very different than what you would see. A lot of
Yeah.
that either has no place anymore or is strictly reserved to be experienced by the bad guys.
Yeah. Yep.
To to keep that separate. There's that line. You treat the good guys this way, and you treat the bad guys this way. Well, here there was no line. It was just like the Wild West, just people treating people however. And
Yep.
it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm sitting, and as I'm saying this, I'm sitting here looking at this panel where the chief is yelling, "You brainless idiot!" to to Clark. The
Yeah.
greatest news story in months on the fire,
Yeah. On the fire.
and cooking, and you waste your time at a hospital. It's like, well, chief, I didn't just go, but you brainless idiot, and he's
Yeah.
slamming his fist on his desk, and it's
I
like,
think I
wow.
think I think HR would have something to say about that,
I I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
And then he just fires him. He's
Yeah.
report to the cashier. You're fired. Very
Chief is
much.
just gonna blow an aneurysm if he stays in this position too much
He
longer, man.
is.
He's gonna stroke out.
He is. He needs to be taking some blood pressure medication or something.
Man, yeah.
And then when he saves the train, and there's this panel where he's up on the bridge, and he says, "No time to lose," and he dives down to grab that support. But then when the camera pulls back, and there was no need for him to jump down head first. He's the bottom of that ravine or whatever where the support is. I mean, he could almost reach up and touch the train
Oh,
tracks from down
you're
there.
right. Okay, I didn't notice that. I'm
It's
like, well, yeah, he could hop up and hit
right.
the bottom of the tracks.
Exactly. I thought that was funny. I
Okay.
saw that and went, why is he
Little
why is he diving? And
Little
then of
little
course,
perspective issue there.
right. And then of course, once the train is away, he just lets
Right.
the
Which that is the first time is that the first time we've seen that with a train? I think, but it becomes very tropey for Superman. I mean, how many images have you seen of him holding, supporting, being the track? It's always saving, or not always, but saving the train starts early and just continues on for years and years and years.
we're gonna pause for just a moment. My wife is just gathering up some food, so she's right behind us.
I understand.
She I took Niles back into the bedroom with her because sometimes because he's an old man, he just needs to go lay down in bed with his mom. It helps him feel better. Sometimes
A
it doesn't.
little bit of company and just
And it
company
just
and chill.
sometimes I wonder when he's just he doesn't need anything. He's got food. Or he just ate, or and he just went out and he's barking because I just it kind of breaks my heart because I wonder is he in pain?
Mhm.
And it almost you can't just give a dog an aspirin.
Right. Right.
It's I did all this research because it's like can I just put some ibuprofen in his food? And it's like no, you cannot do that. If
Yeah.
there's
No,
certain
it's
pain medication for dogs, you have to spend a lot of money to go to a vet
right.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah, it's
spend a
not
lot of money for the drugs. I'm there's gonna I guarantee you there's gonna be a point where we'll be able to get pain medication for dogs and cats over the counter.
yep.
I don't see why not. We can buy freaking ibuprofen for our babies, you know.
And
But
yeah, it's like, is that any more or less sensitive than a dog? Certainly
yeah,
not trying to compare the 2, but I mean, a
no, but
baby, they don't, they're
they're
not
right.
set yet. So
Yeah, they're just developing, but
yep.
there's something about all the whether it's the acetaminophen or the ibuprofen or the aspirin, there's something in all of them that just the dogs can't have.
Mm,
So
okay.
it's not even that well, I mean, that's what the internet says, but I don't know if it's just they don't trust us humans to provide
Well,
our dogs with the
I mean,
correct dosage, but
you definitely wanna err that way because if you are wrong,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I've not given my dog any
yeah,
ibuprofen or anything,
yeah,
but
it's you
darn it, you just wish you could because I know
you
that sometimes that's what it is. He's just in pain. He's an old
right,
man.
just sore and yeah,
Yeah,
weather changes and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
yeah. All right, I think she's done.
Alright. What was the food she was getting? What was dinner?
I don't know. I didn't really make anything for dinner tonight because
Oh,
she was napping.
slacker. Oh,
Well, I gave the kids a choice. I went and I picked them up at school, and I said, "All right, here's the deal." I said, "I may make myself some bacon and eggs because those are two things that I'm allowed to eat."
ah,
And then I mix up some onions and peppers in the eggs, so I get my vegetables.
absolutely.
And I said, "Y'all are welcome to have bacon and eggs, or we can stop by the Dollar General. I'll give you a little cash, and you can go in and find something to bring
Get
home
some
and heat up."
okay.
And that's what they opted for. So,
Oh, so you don't know what they got.
yeah. Well, my one of my daughters got a pizza. I think the
Oh,
other
okay.
one just didn't get anything. I think she had some cereal or something. And then Simon opted for nothing. I went ahead and made up some bacon, so he got some
He
bacon.
got some big okay.
Yeah. I never made the eggs though. I'm gonna crumble up my bacon and do a salad later. So
As far as the, bowl of cereal, I know a girl, from college that went through 4 years of college basically on
yeah,
cereal. That's all she had in her dorm room, and that's all she
yeah,
ever ate was bowls of cereal, so
yeah. Palin's going through a real a life thing, and that is life cereal.
ah,
That's like she's loving that life cereal.
okay. Could be worse. There
It
are worse
could be
cereals out
totally
there,
worse. Oh
so
yeah, she could be hooked on s'mores cereal or
mm.
something. Life cereal's a good option. Okay, where did we leave off?
Okay, at the, the Superman bigger than he should be, or the ravine smaller than it should, whatever
Right.
that was. Perspective, there's the word, yeah.
Yeah, that's it's just
Um, I have a question here. Let's see, when was this? First of all, the mention of him running at the speed of light was interesting.
It was. I meant to
Okay.
write that down and I didn't.
Yeah, that was several pages earlier, page 67 in the Golden Age compendium that I'm reading from, which would put it well when he was running. Basically, there's a panel of just text, and
Yeah,
it
with this
says, "With the speed of light, he reaches." It's like the
yeah.
speed of light. Okay, well,
But
um,
I mean that I'm assuming that establishes the fact that at this point that's how fast he is.
I guess so. Well, I mean, they did say something um sometime, and unfortunately, I didn't write it down, but uh, they made mention that Superman was running so fast he looked like a blur in one of the
Yeah.
stories. I forget which story that was.
Yeah.
So we're starting to be more descriptive of his powers, although he still just runs and leaps.
Yep.
That,
Yep.
that's all he does. Um, on page the page which at the top starts with the dam breaking. Okay, the one, two, three, fourth panel, the red car there. Is she standing outside the car on the running board? Isn't that what it looks like to you?
It sure looks like it.
Okay, I wondered about because the next one, Superman is flying above the car and there's nobody. And then the next panel, Lois is inside the car driving, which is what she's been
Yeah.
doing. So I'm like, was she, were you going to have her jump out of the car? And not only that, but you had her jump out of the car from the passenger side.
Right. Yeah.
It's, yeah, so I'm not that whole little car. Now the panel makes sense in the story, but the car, and I was like,
I almost have to wonder because looking at it, if it was colored a different way, because the figure is so, I mean, it's literally just like a blue rectangle for the dress, and then
right,
a blob of red for the body, and then like this black circle for her head. I just almost wonder if it could be because that red blob could be the seat back. Is it a coloring mistake? Did the colorist who
okay,
maybe went back now, 10
hmm
years,
right.
5 years ago or whatever, and said, I don't know, that might be Lois on the outside of that car. I'll go ahead and color it that way. But I
Were
mean,
they intending that to be Superman?
that's a good question.
Although he's flying in the next panel, so I mean he's not there. But could there have been some switcheroo of the panels, and he was
Yeah.
flying, and then he landed on the running board? Although it's still, if he's gonna rescue her, he's on the wrong side of the car. I
Right.
mean, yeah, I just don't
That's a really weird panel. That's
I don't get where you have drawn a panel like that,
yeah.
how it fits in.
Yep. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense because that surely does look like she's standing on the running board of the taxi cab, which the guy just gives her. Can you take me out to the dam? Here, take the taxi. I'm leaving this town.
Yeah, forget that.
Yeah. That's kind of funny.
So I will say though, overall, as far as the story goes, with in my mind, this being the oddest thing in the story, I think that's doing us pretty good after what
Yeah.
five stories so far. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really hard to, these stories that are basically Superman against nature. I've never found them all that captivating.
right,
It's like, all right, so he doesn't, I mean, he can't stop the flood, he can't stop the dam from bursting. He does topple a mountain in front of it. That's fairly impressive.
that's
But
impressive. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to when he starts actually, because he's yet to encounter a super criminal. I'm really interested to find out when we get to that point, if that really even happens. I got to assume that at the most in a golden age Superman story, he's going to fight a giant robot or some aliens or something.
right. Some sciency kind of thing,
Yeah.
or yeah, an alien, or yeah, before there's really the true supervillains that we have come to know.
Because what the first issue, what did he go up against there? It was the he just went to get the guy in Washington D.C. who was the corrupt politician.
Right.
And then the second episode, the second issue, he goes to that war and he's throwing people like javelins
Right. Yep.
and
The mine disaster was the third issue.
yeah, and another Superman against nature. Well, but really it was Superman against corporate America
Right. Yeah.
to a certain extent, and then Superman against a crooked football coach, and now it's Superman against a flood. So they're fun, but they're not all that exciting just yet, and
not really all that deep.
no, not at all. These are right
Very,
on the surface.
very surfacey, very again movement, action, kind of. Certainly character development. I don't even think those words really exist in the
No,
lexicon of these creators yet.
no,
So yeah, everything we've seen is very much Superman here, then he goes there, and then Clark is here, and then they go there, and Lewis, and it's very
yeah,
frenetic, very kinetic, very a lot of movementy kind of both in the storytelling and also in the artwork, which I've always appreciated. Um, the golden age artwork, and I know
yeah,
I've said this. Um, a lot of movement, less posing for the
yep,
panel.
yep,
Look, point.
yeah.
Not as much of that.
So much so that many of these panels in which he's jumping look like he's flying. And
Hmm.
for those of us who grew up with a Superman that could fly, it's really hard to realize, oh no, he's not flying. He's just jumping in
Jumping.
this panel. For example, the one where he dives into the ravine to stop the bridge from collapsing. It's like he's flying down there. No, he's just he's diving headfirst into the ravine, and it's yeah, and when he's over top the taxi, it looks like he's floating up there. He's flying,
Right.
but no, he's just jumping and
Um, I've made mention of doing a Dr. Fate Golden Age show
mhm.
a while back, and let's see if I can do this here. Okay, go this way. Um, Dr. Fate now, whenever you see him, flies. Well, in those issues, he could fly too, but he flew like this. And there was always the running motion
Yeah,
while he was flying, and I always made note of that
that's
they
weird.
can't have him
So he's like
lay
just
out some way like he's running, but it's in the air, and
yeah,
so he's
just
floating in the
static
air, and
panels of
his
him with
his
his legs like
legs.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
that's crazy.
why can't he if that's all it takes, then why doesn't he just stand up straight and just fly?
Yeah, and
It's but
remembering him from the Keith Giffen Justice League books, I feel like there were a number of panels of him flying that he was almost he was more he wasn't, flat. He
right.
was kind of angled and it almost was just his helmet and the cape flowing behind him as he
Hmm.
as he floated across the panel. I always like that. But yeah, Superman is it yeah, Lois, that wasn't a nice stunt you pulled on me, but I still like you. So that has to be like we said, Clark is the mask. So if that's the case, then that is a genius line for Clark to say because it makes him look like just a weak little puppy.
Yes.
And it's that's not Clark. I mean, that's Clark, but that's Superman being Clark,
Right.
right? Superman
Right.
knows that if Clark says this, he's going to look pathetic, and that's why he said it. And I
Yeah.
think that
He puts all of his energy into not remotely doing anything that he would normally do as
yep,
Superman.
yep,
So it's like he says things or lets things happen or removes himself from situations, or and it's like so much so that I e- even people who don't have powers would not be as um un I don't know what the nice word for it is, but wouldn't they would be more forceful than he is as Clark.
Yep. Yep.
Particularly when you see things going on,
Yeah.
that aren't right, and somebody talking badly or somebody, acting badly or so there would just be a point where you would just step in and you'd be like, "Look, that d don't to this person or leave that person or something." But no, he shrinks.
Yep.
Everything he does is shrinking away from the situation to not remotely make it appear that
Yeah.
he is doing the same kind of thing Superman would do.
And that's something that has always appealed to me about the character of Superman, because what that means is that he is so committed to helping people and saving the day and helping the oppressed and all that, that he is willing in his civilian identity to look like a complete useless, weak-minded coward. That's not important to him. You
Right,
know, he's
right,
willing to
yeah.
do that so that he can still be Superman and do what he needs to do to help people. So that's, to me, even though I don't know if Jerry Siegel is really being that subtle at this point,
Mm,
but to me that's how it reads, is that that's the kind of person that Superman is. The true man there is that he's willing to look like a foolish coward,
right, right,
knowing that in the end that means he gets to save people and help
right.
them.
He's willing to have people think one thing
Yep.
so that it allows him to do something else. Yeah,
And
maybe that's now that is getting kind of deep.
yeah,
Now that's a bit of, uh, character development if that's what they're intending to do, if that's what they're
yeah,
trying to do. Could be that's our perception, and
mhm,
even that, if that's our perception, then that's the reality of what's going on in the
yeah,
book because that's what we're
exactly.
getting from it. Um, is that what they intended? I don't know at this point.
And now looking at that last page, the top row of panels where Lois wants to kiss Superman, and oh, I could kiss you. And as a matter of fact, I will. And he's like, lady, please. But then they obviously kiss because he goes, wow,
Wow,
what a
what a
kiss.
kiss! Yeah.
And then enough of that. I've got to get back. I've got to get you back to safety where I'll be safe from you.
Mm,
That's just funny. And then I have to assume, did this I think this may have come up in a previous issue that we talked about in one of the other episodes, but when she says who cares, and then the whole spineless worm part is all in parentheses, that is her inner
right.
her
Yeah.
inner dialogue in her head. I guess they didn't do thought balloons
That
back
or
then.
she's saying that under her breath or so,
Right.
yeah. It's definitely not an outward expression wherever it's occurring,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah.
I compare that to Action Comics number 1, when he and Lois go out on the date and the big thug comes over and is hitting on her, and she slaps him, and Clark goes, "Lois, don't." But then he says, "Good for you, Lois." But
Mhm.
then that word balloon is dotted.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
does
it's
that represent a whisper? And then this represents thoughts, or do they even think of that? Are they thinking about that at this point,
right.
So in a maybe in a novel, the parentheses would have been the inner dialogue. I keep saying dialogue. The inner dialogue.
Inner dire,
Yeah. And so maybe
um,
that's where that comes from, but
could be.
I think nowadays they just do it in italics, but
Right. Yeah, they changed the edges of the balloon,
yeah.
and that
Yep.
way you just know one is one and
Right.
one is the other.
So, yeah, it's another interesting thing to look for, when do thought balloons pop up
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But yeah, anything else you want to say about this particular story
I
set
don't think
in
so.
the fictional town of Valley Ho?
As I sit here, I think I have said everything that I have thought to say.
Do you think they use the name Valley Ho as a call to tally ho?
Why in this story though would
I don't
Tally
know.
Ho? I mean, is that like a joke of some sort? I'm not
No,
sure why it would be Tally Ho.
it's just that what some action stars would say in movies back then.
Well, could be. I mean,
Tally ho!
they wanted to name it something snappy, and they're
Yeah,
like, "Well, name it Tally Ho." Okay, I will.
Valley ho! That's the first thing I thought of when I said it. Valley
Yeah,
ho!
yeah. It's
All right, well, edit out this pause as I try to drag my cursor across two monitors. Well, if that's all right, so if that's all we got, I want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us a line, you can do that at the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. And if you want to help the show in any way, you can rate us on Apple Podcasts or just generally tell everybody you meet, every single person. If you're shopping tomorrow, if you're in one of those downtown shopping districts and you're out on the sidewalk and there's people all over, just say, "Hey, have you listened to the Superman Super Show? You should do it because it's great." And hopefully people will listen to you. But if you do that, that makes you a good person.
yes.
But until next week, my name is Steven. I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye. And here's Ed to say goodbye.
Goodbye. Hey, that sounded like AOL. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Your mail has been deleted.
You have mail.
I'm gonna stop my recording. Save this sucker. It's episode number 5.
Yeah, I didn't break mine up, so actually mine is 4 and 5 together. Sorry.
That's cool. I can handle that. I'm a big boy. Next is Superman.
Now.
Superman's Phoney Manager. I really wish I could have gotten issue 7 read because the title alone, Superman joins the circus.
Yeah, it was pretty amusing, and we had some. There's some differences in that story that are kind of historic in Superman's mythos.
All right.
So, it's going to take a minute and a half to save, and more.
You use Audacity?
Yes.
Have you upgraded to the newest version?
As far as I know.
Because I did that the other day, and I've noticed it tends to do stuff slower.
The other day, I haven't done any updating or anything in a while, so
I think the new version's been out for a while. I just
hadn't got it.
Yeah, I just don't.
Actually, I'll do that after we're done because I don't want to do anything in between in case it doesn't work. So I'll wait.
That's a good idea. I spent a lot of useless time on YouTube a couple of days ago. I'm always trying to find if anybody will ever talk about, what they do when they edit their shows, as far as what kind of effects do they put, do they EQ it? Do they do this? Do they do that? And, I can find people who will talk about it generally, but they don't really give you, they're always like, well, I mean, I do this, but I'm not going to really talk about what settings I use because it's going to be different for you. It's going to be different. And then they try to teach you what EQ means, and it just goes right over my head. And
it's what you prefer. It's how you want it to be. It's like, well, I don't know how I want it to be.
Exactly. And this one guy was talking about EQ, and he's like, so, it's like, here's something. And he plays this little clip, and he goes, and then, I can just tweak this right here, and here's what it sounds like. And that sounded exactly the same to me. I didn't hear a difference at all. So obviously the EQing, I'm not one of these people that can do that, because I didn't hear any difference. And then he'll be like, and then if you take it and you do this, and then this is what it's going to sound like. Yeah, that sounded the same as the first time. Nothing is different. Either you're just BSing all of us, or I just don't have those kind of ears. And I think it's the second one. I just don't think I have those kind of ears. But
all right.
But doing that, everyone I could find was like, make sure you're using this version of Audacity, and I wasn't. So I upgraded.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wondered about like EQing the vocals out.
Yeah. All I do, and I had this one guy who basically berated anybody who listened to who watched his video that does this.
Oh, well, there you
I
go.
do a bass boost on my voice, and that's it.
Hmm.
Um, and actually, yeah, that's it. I do that, and then I do like some leveling to bring, some compression that
Right.
levels everything out and that kind of stuff. But
Now I use Levelator to level
I used to, I still have it, but I can't remember why I stopped using Levelator because
because
it was a pretty
let's
awesome piece of equipment.
see what I'll noise cancel, and
Yeah,
I will let's see, what's the other thing? Noise reduction, and the other thing is truncate silence.
yep,
I do
true.
those two things, and then I take the file after that and pass it through Levelator because uh, it has to be a wave in order for Levelator to
Yep,
work on it.
yep,
And then I'll put attach intro outro and then save it as MP3
yeah,
is what I do. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Could I do better? I get eh, I walk that fine line between job and hobby, and I
Yeah,
you
I
know
mean, in the
so
end, there's a lot of I think in the end you just end up kind of going into the weeds and spending a lot of time on stuff that for 99.9% of your listeners doesn't really matter.
right.
As long as they can hear you and they can hear you clearly and they don't have to turn the volume down when the music starts,
Yeah, yeah, that's a big one.
or I've listened to podcasts. I've started podcasts and where because I used to listen to all the time, practically exclusively in the car on the way to and from work.
Okay,
And I'll start, it's like, oh, here's a new podcast. I'll give it a try, and I'll start listening, and it'll be like three or four guys, and one of them's really loud and one of them's really quiet, and it's like episode 300 or something, and it's like,
I can't
yeah, I'm not. This is not going to be my
I can't
podcast,
do
and
all
just
that. Yeah, yeah.
move it to the next one, but
Yeah, I think more important is that it is something that is interesting for the person to listen to.
yeah,
And if they can hear it
yep.
and they're not distracted and they're interested, I think that's really all it
Exactly.
takes.
Exactly. And I spend a lot of time getting into the weeds. I sometimes just obsess over it. And after a while, like just the other day, I just spent hours and hours just trying to find the perfect sound. And in the end, I didn't change anything. I'm still
Right,
doing the same thing I was doing.
right.
And you just got to realize it sounds fine, you
Well,
know?
plus two, I am very much the couple of guys, a recording device, sitting, recording, very garage bandy kind of
Hmm.
technique in podcasting. I think that's what it was intended to be, and there
Yep.
is nothing wrong with it
Nope.
still being that way now.
Yep.
So, if I want to listen to a radio show, hellfire, I've got Cirrus in my car.
Right.
I can get
Right.
a mobile unit that's fine, but that's not a podcast. That's a
Yeah.
radio show.
Yeah.
And with the big you, you can always tell these people who do something in radio, and then on their off time they use the studios for their
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
because that type of sound, not that it's bad, but it just comes through and you're like, oh, you must do this for a living too. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, what so you don't have a hobby. You just have an
Yep.
extended job. You like it
Exactly.
so much that you just want to do it more.
Yep.
Okay. No, me, I do so, and this is just something that I do just to whatever because I want to do it.
Yep.
So I have my Walmart headphone, I have my laptop, I have Audacity, so
Yeah.
I
I
can
mean,
listen to my shows and they don't bother me. So
yeah.
I assume that it's that way for other people.
Yep. Exactly. And I think that's the key as a podcaster is that make something that if you'd listen to it, then there's probably other people out there that will want to listen to it as well. Because really,
Right.
the only thing that matters is a is what the podcasters, what they're talking about, is it interesting? Or are they capturing your attention?
Right.
Then really what it comes down to is can you hear them, and is their voice annoying? Because sometimes I
Uh,
won't listen to a show
well,
just because their voice
yes,
annoys me.
there are people that I'm like, no, I can't listen to them.
Yeah, yeah, but
Nothing personal, but I
yeah,
know.
yeah, really. I mean, yeah, nothing personal at all. Everybody, there's podcasts I listen to that are super popular, and I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't
Yeah,
understand. And
yeah, I'm the same way.
that's it's obviously it appeals to a bunch of people. I'm just not one of them. And just like my shows, I know appeal to some people, but just doesn't appeal to others. And I always say the reason I podcast is because nobody in my family will let me talk to them about comic
About this
books.
stuff. Okay,
So
yeah,
I
there
got to
you go.
talk to somebody. So I
Yeah, there.
talk
Yep.
to everybody else.
Nobody wants to talk comics with me, so yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. All
All
right.
right, last one,
Last one. So
and I'll
this
read
is
it.
all you, brother.
Yep,
So let's do the clap, which sounds bad. Let's do the clap.
the clap.
Uh 1, 2, 3. And then whenever you are ready to go, you just go when you're ready.
Welcome, folks. You're listening to the Superman Super Show. This is episode number 6, Superman's Phoney Manager. Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Steeven. Steeven, say hello.
Rock and roll. I don't know why I said that.
All night long. Wanna rock. Oh no, that's all night. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Today we're looking at, or wait a minute, I skipped a part. The script says banter a bit. So,
Yeah.
okay. So we need to banter here instead of just
Okay.
zooming right into things. We have plenty of time to zoom, but well,
Well, what should we
let's see what I
banter about today?
banter
We
about.
did the weather and sports in the last episode.
Mm,
It's a consult
I
my bantering
saw
handbook.
today on the final order cutoff, I think, which the time frame is already passed because it's always on Mondays. But DC Comics had Superman in the Golden Age Omnibus number 7
Wow.
up for final order cutoff today. So I know I have 5 because they're soft
Mhm.
covers, and I know 6 is out, but I guess it's not in soft cover yet because I haven't seen it. And they're getting ready to come out with 7.
Nice.
In 7, I think I remembered seeing that the issues of Action Comics were like in the 130s that they were covering in there, and
Yeah.
it was Action Comics, Superman, and World's Finest. So up to the 7th volume, that is as far abroad as Superman had gotten. He just was in 3 books in
Yeah.
whatever time frame that covers.
I'm gonna pause again real quick. I can hear my dog back there barking, and I just want to
Okay,
see if there's anything I can do for him. Be right back.
gotcha.
All right, I'm back.
All right. You got to go through your kitchen to get to your bedroom?
Yeah, our house is old. It does not have hallways.
Yeah, I've always thought that that was an odd situation in older houses, and I've always wondered why, why they thought to build them like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's like did at some point somebody go, I'm thinking of a something I'm maybe John Montgomery Hall, you know. Let's build a little pathway between, here so you don't have to go from one room to the other. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's weird.
it's like sometimes you'll run into houses that have essentially two bedrooms, and to get to the back one, you have to walk through. It's like,
Yeah,
why would I want people to walk through one bedroom to get to the? Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, let's see,
Well,
banter. Your turn to banter.
well, I was gonna say you mentioned that um Superman and the Golden Age, Volume 7.
Hmm.
So it makes me curious. Are we, how far are we going to get before we're, I know the goal is we're just going to go until we just don't feel like going anymore.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
will we get to Volume 7? Will
I
we
don't
get
know.
out of the Golden Age? Will we ever reach the Silver Age? But
Yeah,
that's a
we'd
lot
have
of
to look to
books.
see. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're in 1938. What the Silver Age starts? What in the 50s, right?
Like mid to late 50s, I
Yeah.
think.
So I mean, we're down the road a bit. Plus, two,
Yeah.
something else to think about is we're talking about 9, 10, like the last one we just talked about was the shortest story yet. That was 9
Yep.
pages.
Yeah.
Um, Action Comic 7 is the longest one. It's 13 pages.
Whoa.
Now, when we get to like a Superman title,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be 30 to 40 pages.
Yep.
And when it gets to be new material, it'll be, like 20 pages and 15 pages for a story. So that'll be a lot longer to talk about.
Yeah, that's true.
So our pace, I would imagine, will slow down. Now I know the first several issues of the Superman, the eponymously titled Superman book, has several reprints in each of the first several issues of these action stories,
Yeah.
and then like one original or two original, something like that. So,
Yeah.
but at some point, the book is all new, and it's I don't know, 30 to 35 pages, I think. So
Yeah.
that'll
You
be
know, something else we didn't talk about in the last couple episodes, but we're still uh of course we're reading Action Comics, but we have not yet reached the point where except for issue number 1 that Superman is on the cover. These are still other, because this is an anthology series, there
right.
are other covers depicting what happens in some of the other stories, and I want to say it's maybe issue 16 when we start getting Superman covers regularly, but I'm not sure.
7 is a Superman cover.
Is it?
Mhm.
I guess, yeah, I hadn't read 7 yet. I was
Right,
really looking
yeah,
forward to it, but
I did notice that it was the first
interesting.
one that we've had since number
Yeah.
1.
All right. Well, let's
Are we bantered out
I
now?
think banter done.
We have bantered a bit. Okay. So, post banter, we're looking at the Superman tale in Action Comics number 6 by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, which is entitled Superman's Phoney Manager. Now, Action Comics number 6 was published by DC Comics, as have all the others, as have all of them ever, I think, but we
Yep.
haven't talked about ever yet. And it has a cover date of November 1938. So one more story, and we've talked about the 1938 adventures of Superman.
That's true.
We will have finished a calendar year of Superman with the next issue. That's like some kind of landmark. I mean, that's
Or
like
at least cover
cool.
dated stories of,
Well, yeah, cover,
yeah.
yeah, because like we said last issue, they're like 4, 5, 6 months difference, and yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, so back to issue 6, cover dated November. At the Daily Star offices, Clark Kent is introduced to Nick Williams, who claims to be Superman's manager. I can only imagine what's going through. Clark's mind.
Right.
He's oh, oh, you are? Oh, okay. Hmm. He says Superman's given him all commercial rights to the Superman name, and if the paper agrees to keep mentioning Superman, he'll give them a share of the profits. Clark Kent doubts the authenticity of his words, so Williams invites Kent to meet Superman at his house tonight. Now, the office boy is listening, and this office boy will eventually be important, but right now he's just office boy.
Office boy.
And in our rundown here, office boy is capitalized, like it's a proper
Yeah.
term. Like,
We'll talk about
oh,
who the office boy eventually becomes. Well, I think
yes.
we can talk about that before the end of the episode.
So the office boy is listening outside the door and mentions what he heard to Lois Lane. She immediately goes up to Clark and asks him out on a date. They go out to a nightclub and hear a singer singing her new song, You're a Superman. Lois slips a drug in Lois slips a drug into I'm sorry. Lois slips a drug into Clark's drink that's supposed to make him fall asleep. She leaves to meet up with Williams and Superman. Clark Kent stops pretending to sleep, changes into Superman, and heads over to Williams' house. There, the fake Superman comes in and performs some fake feats of strength, but Lois is not fooled. When she tries to leave, Williams grabs her, throws her out the window. Actually, I think both of them do. It takes both
Yeah.
of them to throw out the window.
Yeah.
Luckily, Superman happens along at just that time, jumps in the air and catches her. Williams and the fake Superman see that and attempt to run away, but Superman catches up with them and carries them to the police station. Fake Superman admits guilt to the attempted murder charge, and both he and Williams go to jail. Now, that's given to us from dcfandom.com, and we'll have the link in the show notes for those. Let's see, is this the first time he's referred to as the Man of Steel? Steven?
It is. I noticed that myself. The second panel, they're showing different headlines from other newspapers, and one of them says "Mystery Man of Steel reappears." And I looked that up and looked up when is the first appearance of Superman being referred to as the Man of Steel, and they do uh, say that that's in Action Comics number 6. Did you get the feeling that maybe either Joe Shuster is doing something different in this issue, or maybe he had some help here and there? Because just looking at that first page, panel number 3, Superman or Clark Kent in that third panel just does not look like what Joe Shuster has normally drawn any character.
Well, I have, according to the Grand Comic Book Database, that the inker is Joe Shuster slash Paul Loretta.
Oh, okay.
So what you could be noticing is a heavy-handed ink job
Yeah.
over Schuster's pencils, and so it kind of takes it away. We get into in issue 7, we get into some more um, questions of that nature with a much more definitive answer also.
Okay. Okay.
So if it happens much more in issue 7, then it could start happening in issue 6. That would not be that
Yeah.
big a stretch to say that some things are changing a little bit, at
Yeah.
least with the art or the art chores in the book.
Yeah. Because there's a definite
But yeah,
shift.
it's different without
Yeah.
trying to say how and subsequently insulting somebody or anything like that. It just you can definitely tell that it's different than what Clark has appeared in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about Office Boy real quick?
Um, Before we do that, let's note that the paper is now referred to as the Daily Star
Yes.
in the ever evolving. What are we going to call the paper? Or we have forgotten what we called it in the past, or whatever's going on.
You know,
Um,
I read something today that at this time, because of course, Siegel and Schuster were from Cleveland, so
Hmm.
they do have Superman based in Cleveland. They do eventually change it to Toronto, or not Toronto, Metropolis.
Metropolis, okay.
Um,
Which is
which
Metropolis is supposed to be New York, right?
in
New
essence,
York.
well,
I mean,
what I read today was that Schuster based the Metropolis skyline. When we see Metropolis, it's based on Toronto.
oh,
And
wow, okay.
actually the Daily Star is taken from the Toronto Star, I think.
Oh, okay. All
Not
right.
sure why he chose Toronto or why they chose Toronto, but the name, because in issue 2 I think they called the newspaper like the Cleveland Standard or something.
Let me see here real quick. It was the Cleveland Evening News.
Cleveland Evening News, yes. And based on the article I read, no, I didn't go back and fact check this myself,
Right, right.
but at this point where we're at right now, the paper has been the Daily Star, and it was just that one issue that they messed up, and they
Okay,
called it something different.
okay. All right.
And then I don't remember the reasoning behind why they changed it to Metropolis. Something about with their original plans being the strip being in a newspaper, and it being, I guess, this Cleveland newspaper. They based him out of Cleveland, but after a bit, they decided to go with a fictional city.
Okay,
So
okay. Also, as we have already run into, starting from the first panel, every panel is numbered for the
yeah, that's
first time
weird.
here. I don't know if that is in preparation for something else, or if there's. I would think that if you're doing that for a production reason, that you would remove it. But
There are numbers in the panels in the previous issues, but I don't think they're in every panel. And those that have them, they're not as noticeable. They're actually circled, and white circles with the numbers in this
mhm,
in this issue, whereas the other issues might just have a number in the corner and you could lose it in the art. But yeah,
okay.
I wonder, we'll have to, maybe somebody listening can enlighten us, but we'll have to look that up at some point, what the purpose was behind numbering the panels.
I did notice also, of all possibilities, I believe this story had 100 even panels.
Interesting.
So I wonder if it was a money issue that they
Maybe.
were keeping track of production somehow too.
Yeah,
And I did read issue 7 in preparation. They're numbered there, but I forget what the total number was.
yeah.
It didn't strike me, but it did
Hmm.
strike me. I believe this story has 100 even. So,
Crazy.
and those are the two things I noticed before noticing the Office Boy. So, what were you going to say about the Office Boy?
All right, so when I was preparing the notes for this episode, and of course in this issue he's only referred to as Office Boy, um, and and it might even be in that one panel. Outside the editor's door, an inquisitive office boy has been getting an earful. And he's a blonde kid with a bow tie.
He's a
And
very
so I didn't,
Archie looking kind of dude.
yeah, yeah. And I didn't make note of him at all. But when I go over to dcfandom.com to prepare the notes, one of the things they do over there on that website is they tell you the characters that are appearing in the story, and then if it's their first appearance or like their single appearance, for example, because like the Phoney Manager, this is the only appearance he's ever
Right.
made
Yeah.
in these comics.
Gee, I can't
um
imagine.
so they'll put in parentheses, first appearance or single appearance, one of those. And I noticed that they said that Jimmy Olsen was apparently in this issue, and they put first appearance. And I thought, well, I don't remember seeing him at all in this issue. And I looked it up, and it is that they have basically retroactively,
Yeah.
based on the article I read, they have retroactively claimed that this is the first appearance of Jimmy Olsen. I guess a number of issues later, he will be referred to as Jimmy Olsen at some point. So
So there we go. So Action Comics number 6, the first
Yes.
appearance of Jimmy Olsen, who
Just not by
hangs
name.
around almost as long as Clark and Lois.
Right. And he's literally listening at the keyhole.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So
I said Archie. He reminds me of another character I've seen. Oh, Johnny Thunder. He reminds me
yeah,
of Johnny Thunder, the actual Johnny Thunder,
right.
not the Thunderbolt.
And so yeah, we get this moment where Lois Lane, who apparently will do anything for a story, um, basically asks Clark out on a date. He's super surprised that she's actually talking to him. Did I hear you correctly? Did you speak to me? And they're underlining words that they're emphasizing at this point. And there's a
Did
great moment
you speak
here.
to me?
Yeah. Did you speak to me? Yeah. And there's a great moment here where once they finalize their plans, she says, I'll be waiting for you tonight. And then in parentheses, how easily I can twist you around my finger. Whereas Clark's saying, I'll be there. And then in parentheses, how easy you are to convince that I'm putty in your hands, which goes back to what we were saying with in the other episode, or,
He'll
Clark is the mask,
right.
and
He'll
he
do
is,
anything
yes.
to separate
Yep.
Clark from Superman. Clark will bear any indignity to separate him from Superman, because everyone
Nope.
knows Superman would not bear that indignity, but
Nope.
Clark will bear all of them.
Yep. And he wears a top hat when they go out on their date. That's
Yes,
pretty
I dig it.
stylish.
I wonder if it's a collapsible one.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah,
Or if there's a rabbit in there.
I don't. That's a different character.
And then we get what might be the first musical number that I know that maybe I've encountered in many comics. So maybe the first musical number in a Superman story with a woman singing. Niles, lay down, buddy. Lay down, pal. Okay, I'm gonna mute for a second. Y'all are gonna see me yell out. He's a good boy.
Yes.
He's a good boy. He's like looking at me now, like, what? What? Are you gonna give me something?
What'd I do?
Yeah. But some of the lyrics in this song,
Yes.
when you crush me in your arms, I must reveal I'm only flesh and blood, not resistless steel.
Resistless?
Resistless.
Is that a
Yeah.
word?
I
know.
don't
I didn't
know.
look
Well,
that up.
artistic license. Someday you're going to leap to the altar at my feet. Then the world will know. Because I'll tell all I know that I want them to know that you're my Superman.
Now, I wonder, 1938, I wonder if those lyrics are like patterned after an actual song that was like on the radio at that time or something like that. They just changed some of the lyrics.
That's a good question, because I tried to sing that in my mind while I was reading it, and I couldn't come up with a tune. But then I'm not one who listens to a lot of music from back then, so
And there
it
was
very well could be. I did actually go online to see if anybody ever made a song out of it, and I couldn't find anything.
okay. So at the very least, they're not actual lyrics of an existing song.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. You're a Superman. You can make my heart leap 10,000 feet. It's really
It
deep.
rhymes at least, yes.
Yeah,
And
really
she
deep
slipped
stuff.
in the word ardor, which is
She did.
That's a higher level word. A lot of points there for that one.
His ardor is stronger than a human man's.
Because he's Superman.
That's right. He's Superman. And in this, the guy that they have dressing up as Superman, he's very funny looking.
Yeah.
You can almost sense, it's like this guy does not, he looks awkward in that costume.
He doesn't, at the very least, he doesn't fill the uniform out
Right.
as well as Clark Kent does. At the very least.
Yeah, and in a couple of these panels, it's almost like his head is too big, and I wonder if they did that on purpose, just to give the appearance that he is awkward looking in this
Could
costume.
be, yeah.
And then Lois drugs Clark.
She roofies him, man.
She
She
roofies
roofies
him
that's golly.
when Clark glances away. Lois surreptitiously drops a drug into his drink, and he, of course, acting,
Oh,
"Gosh, I'm sleepy."
yeah, he knew as soon as it happened what
Yep.
she had done, and he
Yep.
plays along.
That's great. And then when we do see him, it's kind of, we got on the one page, we got this guy dressed up as Superman, and that very first panel of him, the trunks look baggy, right? They almost look baggy around the legs, up there near the hips. But then when we get to the next page and Clark is now in his Superman costume, it looks right. It
Exactly.
looks like it fits. His head looks like a normal size.
Yep.
It That's the true blue Superman. And then the guy's waiting out. He tells the actor to wait out on the ledge, and he will give a signal, and his signal is very very sneaky, which is to just snap.
Right. Yep.
He just snaps, and the guy comes climbing in the window. And again, I really appreciate the art in this issue, just simply because this guy who is pretending to be Superman just looks ridiculous.
Hmm.
He just looks ridiculous.
But we see him here doing his feats of strength. He picks up a desk and he bends a metal bar, and Lois doesn't believe either one because she then goes and picks up the desk and she bends the metal bar and calls him down. I like how throughout certain words by people, not there's not necessarily a connection from instance to instance, but a word is underlined. I guess owning to some sort of significance that they are verbally placing on that particular word. Like the panel I'm looking at here, Lois has, I don't know, there's probably 20, 25, maybe 30 words there. But the very last one is the one that's underlined, the word phony.
Yeah.
And several panels later, the word murder is.
Yep.
Actually, this makes me wonder if we went through and pulled out all the underlined words. Is that like some kind of code or something?
Maybe
Is
get
that
a secret
the
message.
Superman fan club the code phrase or something? I don't know. But yeah, just certain words will be underlined and never the same words by the same character or anything like that. It's almost like
Yeah.
they're just like underline that one
I
and this one. And,
I'm taking them to mean that we are to emphasize those words. She's, but that would be murder, that they're emphasizing those words when they say them. Nowadays they would bold it. They would do them in bold. They'd be a little bit bolder.
right?
But
Yeah.
and yet at the same time, that word balloon where Lois is speaking and the word phony is underlined, Superman is bigger than the other words. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, eh, is that
is it
is
because it's his name?
is that on purpose or is it because they're lettering by hand?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Which I
That's the
think
question.
in 1938, I don't think they had any other technology yet, but hand to draw in the letters in the bubble. So
No, and I know at some point they come there. There's a certain tool that they end up using that will uh
type.
they put lines in the word bubbles, so they all the letters are the same size, and they use
Okay.
there's a certain tool that they lay. I watched a video on it at one point, but there's a tool
Okay.
that they lay down on the paper, and they can matter of fact, there was almost like a kind of a stencil at one point, but
Okay. Yeah.
um
So I mean, in these early uh, comics like that, you always wonder if anything in that word balloon other than the letters themselves are supposed to be, or is
yeah,
it an artifact of the fact that they're doing it by hand?
right, yeah. I like the phony Superman, how in panel 75, he is very not, you know, he didn't like the idea of them throwing Lois to her death. But that would be murder. But then the very next panel, panel
He's
76,
he's
oh,
helping
we'll call it accidental or a suicide, eh?
throw
You
Lois
know,
to her
he's
death. Yeah,
yeah,
he's overcome his
yeah,
doubts.
it's yep, trying to convince himself that, well, I guess if we make it look like an accident or a suicide, I guess it's murder is okay at that point.
Yeah. The panel of her falling, is there any doubt in that panel that she is falling?
I don't think so.
No, just everything about that is
Yeah,
just so very movementy.
yeah,
It's just I really like uh, like that. I like that about Schuster's art really so
yeah,
far, that it just is. And even the panel before, the way that she is
yeah.
drawn, is there any
It looks
question
like
that she's
she's
fighting?
kicking and fighting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I mean,
done
the
very well.
the panel before that where he's grabbed her hand, she
Mhm.
is obviously trying to pull away from him because
Yep.
she knows something not cool is coming. So, I mean,
Yeah.
those 3 panels very much show that, even in 2D, Lois is 3D attempting to do something. Something is happening to her person,
Yep. Yeah.
and I like that. I like that about the art so far.
Yeah. And the text box of her falling is just a moment later, Lois's kicking and screaming figure falls from the window downward toward a horrible, crushing death. That's
There's no doubt what's gonna
vivid.
happen. Yes, yes.
That's vivid.
All
Um,
those kids, in late 30s understand that she's gonna squish on the cement there. Also here on this page, that second panel, shows Superman leaping up to catch her. Very excellent movement. The next panel catching her, movement again. The next panel landing, holding her, movement again. Just very effective display of getting the 2D character to move in 3 dimensions. That's just it's really good, I think. And I keep
and
going on about that. I'm sorry, but it just
no, no, it's a good
it's
point.
cool.
And then the phony Superman punches Superman in the mouth and breaks his hand, which, in a previous issue, that football player
Football
had
player.
punched Superman in the chest. So obviously that guy didn't put a lot into it, but this dude put his entire heart in that punch because he busted his fist. Is how they, and then he's dancing around on one foot. Ow, my hand. It's really funny. And then the panel of Superman leaping through the air, and he's holding Lois in one
And
arm
when and
and the
he's
two bad guys by the collars
yeah,
in the
yeah.
other arm. It's really nice. And
No no look of effort on his part at all.
yeah, no, it's just something he's doing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
carrying her, dragging them, no
yeah.
problem.
And they're taken to the police. And at first, as they're standing in front of the policeman, the sergeant or whatever, they're
The
both
the intake.
denying. They're about to deny that they didn't do anything until he sees Superman looking at him through the window.
Yep,
He's
he's
like,
like, "Oh,
"No, he's
crap,
gonna kill
he's
me."
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did it." Yep.
yeah. Throw these two vermin into the can. Yeah, and then that's the issue. And then we get another in this issue, what was that, issue 4 or 5, where we got the kid lifting the
4, I think.
chair to acquire feats of human strength. And now
Mhm.
we have another exercise that they can do. Clench your fists as tightly as possible, exerting every ounce of energy. While in this tense state, sharply jerk them in various directions. This will eventually impart to you a crushing hand grip. I just can't. That hurts. You're gonna pull something at our age doing that.
Yep.
But it's fun. I think it's kind of. I don't know if I want to use the word cute or quaint that they put these little things in here. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious at this point that they know that most of their readership are kids,
Right, you're right, yeah.
and the fact that they're trying to teach them to acquire super strength in various ways just cracks me up. And what's up with this picture of Superman in, I guess would be panel 99? More adventures of Superman will appear in forthcoming issues, and he's got his cape like draped over him. It's very
Eh,
weird. That's
yeah,
not
he's
that
picked
if
up the
that was
bottom and
drawn,
turned it.
yeah, it's like a Roman emperor type of thing. It's like he's
Mhm.
wearing a toga. And if that was drawn by Joe Shuster, then yeah, the inker really took some liberty with that,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah.
not Joe Shuster right there. And so is that something maybe they add, the creative team turned in their book and they're like, all right, we got to fill 2 panels here to finish up this page. Let's just throw these things in here.
Right, yeah. They didn't
Yeah.
have an ad, so they
Yep.
they threw that in there.
Yep. Very weird. This was a fun one. It's not the level of crazy that some of the others have been so far. I think the dullest issue so far is the one with the dam.
Yes, yeah,
This is not quite as dull as that one, but again, it's flipping Superman, and the bad guys that he's going up against is a dude that's pretending to be his manager, and then an
yeah.
actor that he hired to portray Superman. I mean,
Mobsters
yeah,
essentially is all
yep,
they have created, and maybe it's because they I don't know. It's hard enough to believe of a character like Superman, so
yeah.
we have to ground it somehow, and so
It's
we ground it with the bad guys.
yeah, it's very much it's like the point they're trying to make is there's nobody in this world that's like Superman.
Right.
So we're not going to put any crazy villains in here because, or were they even, I mean, you got to assume, because there was stuff out at this time like Flash Gordon and
Mhm.
stuff like that did deal with aliens and crazy villains and whatnot. So yeah, I just don't know why they haven't come to that point yet in these books, if not for the only reason being is that Superman is the only person like this, and we don't want anybody to
Well, but
outshine him at this point.
has it not occurred to them that we need to create bad guys that, like, can challenge him? I mean,
Yeah.
because everything's been easy.
Yeah.
Heck,
Yeah.
they can't even punch him without
Right.
hurting themselves. So,
Yeah,
I don't
he
know.
really hasn't had to struggle too much
No, not at all. F
to save
in
the day in any
in any
ways.
way,
Yeah.
there's no aliens, there's no kryptonite, there's no super geniuses, there's
Yeah.
nothing. It's just like you said, he is absolutely unique,
Yeah.
and everybody else is like everybody else. It's like the rest of us. He
Yeah.
is the one and only. He stands out.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the intent.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably was. You have to assume that maybe at some point, um, I don't know when they might have started including letters, columns, and whatnot in these books, but maybe at some point, they were starting to get mail about, we need something a little bit more interesting with We
Right,
love Superman, but give him something more challenging than a guy pretending to be his manager,
right.
or it would just be really interesting. Maybe there's books that we could read that would tell us about, why,
Well,
at
but
what point they started incorporating more flashy villains and whatnot in it, and why. And
as a comparison, um, going back to my reading of Dr. Fate, he had evil magic users just like he
mm,
was a good magic user very,
yeah,
very early on. However, um, Silver Age, well, or actually, yeah, Silver Age Thor, which is much after this, it's like
yeah,
in the
60s,
66. He started out battling mobsters, and
yeah,
he was a Norse god, but they started him out for 6, 7, 8 months just battling the
yeah,
mob, so I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Don't know what the thought process is behind that, but
I've
you
read
know that
Batman, and he has not come up against anybody his well, no, 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 not yet. The Joker is coming up in
yeah,
what I'm reading, and that's, 15, 20 stories in.
yeah.
He's coming up against the Joker, but the Joker really doesn't have any powers. He just looks weird.
Right. Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not sure.
I just, when I think of for me, when I think of Superman from this era, my mind goes to the Fleischer cartoons.
Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
in that he was fighting robots
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So I know it's coming. Obviously, we know that kind of stuff is coming. It's
right.
just interesting to see how far they get before they start incorporating more sci-fi almost into this
Mhm.
stuff, because it's not like it wasn't around. It's not like other
Oh,
people
yeah.
weren't doing it. So
Well, it was at this point, it was everywhere.
yeah.
Sci-fi. I mean, every pulp book magazine that you picked up had a sci-fi story in it at this point. So
And
it was everywhere. The serials and the movies. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean the idea of Superman is science fiction. He's
Hmm.
straight from the beginning, issue 1, he was an alien from another world who came to Earth on a rocket. That's
Yeah.
as in depth as they got with it. But so yeah, it's just funny. It's like watching the first season of a TV show like Supernatural, where it's kind of just a monster of the week until they really get into the thick of it.
Right.
So
And then yeah.
yeah,
And maybe the same thing is here. They're not concerned about long-term writing.
right,
They're
right.
writing this issue, this
Yep,
story.
yep.
So,
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to say about this issue?
let's see. Nope. I mentioned everything I had noticed.
Okay, let's wrap this sucker up then.
All right. Alrighty. I do want to thank everyone for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. If you want to drop us, and those are underlined, if no, I'm kidding. If you want to drop us a line, you can do that at the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. If you want to help the show in other ways, you can rate us on Apple Podcasts and or preferably both. Tell all of your friends about us. Now, until next week, I'm Ed, and I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye. And this is Steven, and he's going to say goodbye as well.
Goodbye as well.
Goodbye, folks. Have a good evening.
I do have fun doing these.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I should probably figure out what's going on with the old dog. So, plus I told my wife I'd make her something to eat.
Oh, well, you need to be getting on that.
Right. That's right. That's the happy wife, happy life.
What are you going to make her to eat? Bacon and eggs?
Nah, she wanted me to heat her up a frozen pizza.
Oh.
Yeah.
You going to have some
She's
too,
not,
or is that just for her?
just for her. I can't eat something like that.
Oh, that's right.
Diet
I'm
won't
sorry.
let me.
Right.
She's not feeling well, so yeah.
You've got some restrictions going on the intake there.
Yeah. All right.
Alrighty, man.
Yeah, we'll talk about when we want to do this again, but at this point we are 6 episodes in the can, and the first one hasn't even launched yet. So
Yep.
for
And the
those of
intent is
you,
still weekly.
yes, yeah, for the
Okay.
time being, we might as well do weekly until if we find out we can't keep up with that, then we may go to twice a month or something. It just depends on how often we're going to be able to get together. And it's, I assumed we'd be able to, even if I had read the 4th story, I assumed we'd be able to get through 4 stories in 2 hours, considering how long we took to get the first episode
Mm-hmm.
recorded, because it's twice as long as the rest of them. But still, here we are over 2 hours later, and we only were able to get. Of course, I had to pause a lot because the dog. But
And
yeah,
we didn't get into it for about 15 or 20 minutes. We
right,
just
that's true. Yeah,
shot the stuff
yeah,
there at the beginning. I mean, if we just jumped, or even if you're able to and you want to, we can start 15, 20 minutes before the time you
okay,
have scheduled.
yeah,
And that way we can get all of that other stuff out of our system, and then we can just hit it running
yeah. That's a
to
good
start
idea.
our 2 hours. If you want to do that. If not, I'm
Yeah,
good with 3 episodes.
okay.
So
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk at some point as far as when we want to get back together to record some more.
okay, man.
For those of you watching the video,
Ciao.
finger guns. All right. I'll talk to you later, Ed.
All right, Steven.
Thanks, buddy.
Yes, sir.